Hi and welcome to this Blender tutorial. Today I will show you how to make this potted spider plant using Blender's hair particle system. The same method can also be used to make tufts of stylized grass. I'll try to keep the tutorial beginner friendly and mention all the shortcuts I use, but I'll also activate screencast keys so you can easily follow along. We'll open up a brand new Blender file. To follow along, you will have to have the extra objects add-on installed to get access to the single vert mesh. Just go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and search for extra objects. Check the boxes to enable both of these add-ons as they give you access to some really useful meshes and curves. Once you've enabled the add-on, you can close the window. Then let's box select the default cube and spotlight and delete them by pressing X or delete on your keyboard. Then press Shift and A, select Mesh, Single Vert, and add a single vert. This will automatically take you from object mode and into edit mode. Press 1 on your numpad to go to front view and press A to make sure your single vert is selected. Then press E, then X to extrude along the X-axis. Let's extrude it to somewhere around here. Then press E to extrude again and place a vert somewhere around here. Then press E to extrude a couple more times to finish off the shape of your pot. You can get really creative with the shape of the pot. That's all up to you. And remember, you can always go back into edit mode later on to change the shape. This may look a little bit weird right now, but we're going to use some modifiers to turn this into an actual pot. Once you're happy with the shape, press Tab to go back into object mode. Then go to Modifier Properties, click Add Modifiers, and select the Screw modifier. And now you have something that resembles a pot. Check the Merge checkbox to merge the verts at the bottom of the pot. Next, we want to give it some thickness, so let's add a solidify modifier and change the thickness to something like this. And if you want to change the thickness in smaller increments, you can hold down the Shift key while dragging your mouse over the number. And make sure to check the box for even thickness. To make this look better, let's add a subdivision surface modifier with 2 levels. You can add this by either selecting it from the drop-down menu like with the other modifiers, or you can simply press Ctrl+2 on your keyboard. Then right-click the pot and shade it smooth. Next, let's add some soil for our plant. And while in object mode, press Ctrl+A to add a new mesh. Then select Circle. Press G+C to move the circle up along the Z-axis and move it to somewhere around here. With the circle selected, press Tab to go into edit mode. Scale the circle up or down depending on the size of your pot so that it roughly touches the inner edges of your pot. Then press Ctrl+F and select Grid Fill to fill the circle with faces. I'm going to right click and press Subdivide once. Select the middle vert, press 1 on your numpad to go to front view, and then press O or click up here to select proportional editing. Press G and Z to move the vert up a bit to raise the soil in the middle of the pot. If you find the circle of influence is too big or small, you can use the middle mouse wheel to change the size. This looks good to me. Next, tab out of edit mode, and with the soil selected, go to Particle Properties and press the little plus sign to add a particle system. We'll change it to hair. If your hair is pointing downwards, you need to flip the normals of the soil. Select your circle, press Tab to go into edit mode, press A to select all, and press F3 to pull up the search bar and search for flip normals. And this should fix the direction of the hair particles. Then tab back into object mode. Now we're going to model a leaf or a strand of grass to use with the particle system. So press Ctrl+A and add a plane. Let's tab into edit mode with the plane selected. If you still have proportional editing on, press O to toggle it off. Then press S to scale and X to scale it along the X-axis to make it more narrow, something like this. Then press S and Y to scale it along the Y-axis to make it a bit longer. We're going to give it some more geometry, so press 2 on your keyboard, not the numpad, or click up here to choose Edge Select. Then with your object selected, press Ctrl+R and add loop cuts across the leaf. You can use your mouse wheel to increase the number of cuts to 4 or 5. Left click to confirm and right click to place the loops. I'm going to select this edge and press S and X to scale it down. Let's do the same for the top of the leaf. I'll make this even more narrow. And now hold down Alt and Shift while selecting these two loops. Then press S and X to scale them down a little bit. We want the leaf to be the widest in the middle. This orange dot right here is the object's pivot point. We want this to be located at the end of the leaf where it goes down into the soil. To do this, press A to select the whole leaf, then G and Y to move it along the Y-axis until the pivot point is about here. It's important to note that if you move the object in object mode, this will not move the position of the pivot point. You can only move it while in edit mode. Press A to select the whole leaf, then R to rotate and X to rotate along the X-axis. I'll move it up by pressing G, then Z. Let's give the leaf a little bit of a curve. So I'll select this edge loop, then press G and Z to move it up along the Z axis. I'll repeat this step on the other edges as well until I'm happy with the curve. We're almost done with the leaf. All we have to do is give it a little bit of a thickness. So tab out of edit mode, go to modifier properties, and with the leaf selected, add a solidify modifier. You can choose your desired thickness. And remember, you can always go back and edit this later. Let's also add a subdivision surface modifier level 2 by pressing Ctrl and 2. And right click on the leaf and shade it smooth. And that's the leaf done for now. To add the leaf to the particle system, select your circle, then go to particle properties, and let's reduce the number of hair to something like 80 or maybe 100. Also, make sure to check the checkbox for advanced settings. Go to render, pick object from the drop-down menu, and then use the eyedrop tool to select your leaf. And you should get something that looks like this. You can play around with the scale and scale randomness here to give the leaves different lengths. Next, go to rotation and pick normal from the orientation axis drop-down menu. I'll play around with the hair length and scale randomness until I get something that looks good. And now, remember that pivot point I was talking about earlier? This is where it really comes into play. So select your leaf again and tab back into edit mode. Make sure you can see the whole plant and the pot. And press A to select all, then press R and X to rotate the leaf around the X-axis. This will change how the plant looks. You can also press G and Z or G and Y to move the leaf around until you get the look that you want for your plant. And before we move on, let's parent the soil to the pot. So select the circle first, and then hold Shift and select the pot. And then press Ctrl+P and select Parent by Object. My plant is looking a little big, so I'm going to select the pot and then press S to scale and scale it down a little bit. Once you're happy with the way your plant looks, press 0 on your numpad to go to camera view. After that, you might want to move the camera back a bit or a bit closer depending on how big your plant is. To do this, simply select the camera, then press G and Z twice, and you can move your mouse back and forth to zoom in and out. You can also move the camera up or down by simply pressing G then Z and move your mouse. And now it's time to add some materials to our plant. So press Z on your keyboard, then select Render View. And let's go to World Properties and change the color to brighten things up a bit. You can pick whatever colors you want, but I'm going to go with something like this. And before we move on, let's go to Output Properties and change the resolution to 1600 by 1200. This might mean you want to move your camera around a little bit. So again, go and press G and Z twice to move it back and forth, or just G and Z once to move it up and down. And now let's select the pot and go to Material Properties and pick a color you like. I'm going to go with pure white with the roughness turned down to give it a shiny look, but you can pick whatever you like. And next, let's select the circle and let's give the soil a bit of a dark brown color. I'll turn the roughness up for this, as soil normally isn't very shiny. To add color to our leaves, we have to select our single leaf, and then let's give it a nice green color and turn down the roughness a little bit. And that's our finished spider plant. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions at all, please let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best to help. And if you want to see more Blender tutorials like this, remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye!